Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The New Orleans Pelicans continue their road trip. They had a good win at Salt Lake City against Utah, which was encouraging. And considering the Western Conference bottom half of the playoff picture is not that imposing, maybe this thing isn't a write-off.
I don't think so. I mean, you look at what happened a year ago and that it took 46, 47 wins to be in position to get in that 8-seed spot. That's not going to be the case this year, at least as it shakes out right now. I mean, I think you're going to be a lot closer to 500 to get there. 500 is still a long climb ahead when you're sitting there about 10 under right now, but a long way to go. And, you don't get them all back in one game. It's a steady climb. You got to put together a winning streak and then maybe another winning streak and things like that. And you can get back there. But obviously this is, bit of tough go between, some of the West Coast trips, the injuries that are, finally starting to resolve themselves. But there is still a lot of basketball to be played.
What gets your attention more than anything is the balance of power that has shifted to the Eastern Conference. You got 10 teams in the East that have winning records right now, whereas in the West, the bottom two teams in the playoffs right now would have losing records. So things have changed substantially for the benefit of the Pelicans, because in the West, you've really got the two elite teams in Golden State and San Antonio. You have a very good Oklahoma team, Oklahoma City, of course, and then, of course, you look at the Clippers, and you would think that they're that type of team. But after that, really, you don't have those teams in the West.
Yeah, it's pretty much a crapshoot beyond that. And what's interesting is a year or two ago, you got Mark Cuban and others making the suggestion, let's realign some things. The balance of power is out of whack. Look, as we've seen in pro sports, it doesn't take long to flip things. It was 5 years ago that the NFC West, nobody could go 500. And, we saw what happened there, how quickly that turned around. Last year, no one in the NFC South was 500. And look what's happened there this year. Well, at least for one team it has. So, it can change, and I won't say overnight, but it can change quicker than you think, in terms of fortune, especially in pro sports.
No doubt. And when you look at the other major event for New Orleans that has taken place, the U.S. national soccer team, of course, playing China in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, a smashing success, nearly 33,000 fans, and they were excited, and Abby Wambach was the story. She, of course, retires her final game, her final match. She got a rousing ovation. She went to Bourbon Street, the whole deal. Ironically, the team lost. First time in 104 matches on home soil, they got beat, and it happened to be in New Orleans on the final leg of their victory tour, the last match they played on this victory tour. So kind of bittersweet to a degree, but bottom line was it was a big success.
I think so. And look, if this wouldn't have been Abby Wambach's final match, as Alan DeRitter pointed out in his story at SportsNOLA.com. I think you might have seen a different result. I think a lot of efforts were being made to try to get her a goal in this last last time with the U.S. team, and that's great. And look, I think if you look at it, in terms of how things were played on the field, the U.S. dominated, but China just happened to get the one goal, and that is something you can see in soccer. You can see a team that dominates, but all it takes a lot of times is that one goal, and it changes the whole complex of how things turn out.
Certainly did. Good event. Congratulations to those who put that on. The New Orleans Saints, of course, a Monday night game, and that's going to be against the Detroit Lions. And all I can think about with this game is the schedule maker. When they thought about this one before the season and scheduled this one this late in the season, the common sense question would be, what were they thinking? Detroit's not been that type of team, and the Saints were coming off of not a good year. And unfortunately, they end up with the type of matchup that they dreaded and that they obviously have nightmares about.
Well, Detroit was a good team a year ago, and I thought they probably felt like, okay, the Saints will be back, and they're always going to be entertaining on offense. And obviously, it wasn't that long ago, Detroit was a playoff team. So it's, you're dealing with, Calvin Johnson and Drew Brees. You've got offensive megastars out there, pardon the pun, on both sides of the ball. And this was an entertaining game a year ago in Detroit. Unfortunately, it went the wrong way. The Saints blew a late 23-10 lead. They couldn't tackle Golden Tate. Breeze threw an ill-advised interception, and next thing you know, the Saints lose 24-23. So, hopefully, and look, Monday Night Football has been entertaining all year long with some great games down to the wire. I'm sure the folks at ESPN are hoping for that kind of entertaining finish once again. If they get anything like, say, the Saints-Giants game last month, I'm sure they'd be happy with that. So let's see how it all plays out. Obviously, neither one of these teams going anywhere, it would appear at this point, but it is Monday Night Football. Like I say, it's been, it's produced an entertaining product all year long, even when the matchup didn't suggest as much.
The Saints have played 2 straight good games. If they can continue that streak, then certainly they would have a great chance to win as a favorite at home in this game. The downside, Damian Swann, 3rd concussion. You really have to be concerned about his future in the league now, and that would be a terrible loss because he's a promising young player. Marcus Murphy placed on injury reserve, 2 draft picks that showed some promise, a disappointing end to their seasons.
Yeah, and it is, it is unfortunate. And, as we talked about on Monday, what was encouraging, though, is some of the guys who are older performing even at this point in the season, stepping up their game, to another level, whether it's a Marcus Colston or whether it's a Tim Hightower getting that opportunity, or, even a Donnell Ellerby coming back off the injured list and getting a chance to play and having an impact there. So, that part is encouraging. You like to see that kind of thing. Look, at the end of the day, you're just looking to carry some momentum into next season at this point and feel good about where you are going into 2016. And, another opportunity Monday night. Yeah,
we'll see how that unfolds. Of course, the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl coming up on Saturday night. Arkansas State taking on Louisiana Tech in what should be a good matchup, as we've talked about now for quite some time, both on the field and in the stands.
Yeah, ideally, you're talking about 2 schools that are not that far away. One's 7 hours away, one's 4.5 hours away. Easy for people to get here. And I think you're looking at 2 entertaining offenses as well and have the ability to put some points on the board. And it could, it's an 8 o'clock kick. It could carry on until, midnight or later with the 2 offenses that are out there.
College basketball, UNO, an epic loss in overtime at UMass on a night where they honored John Calipari. In addition to that, LSU with a win over Gardner-Webb. Craig Victor playing his first game and playing pretty well. And Tulane went to North Carolina and predictably got beat, but played respectably.
Yeah, Tulane, North Carolina has been some epic games over the years. Wednesday night was not one of those, unfortunately. But, we're starting to get closer to conference play now, and these teams starting to, tune it up a little bit. We're 2 weeks away, really, from conference play getting started. So this is the time you want to fine-tune some things. Some tests coming up for both sides. UNO's got to go to UL Lafayette Monday night. Tulane goes to Mississippi State on Saturday, and then come home to play Southern Miss. So a couple of good tests there. Yeah, LSU with a couple of maybe not-so-stern tests. They've got a good one, though, right after Christmas when Wake Forest comes to town.
Look forward to it, and look forward to what's to come in sports. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Lenny, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you Monday.
All right, you got it. That's Lenny. I'm Kenny. You have a great weekend as well, and God bless you.